Everybody else is muted then. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you. So today we will do a gentle Hatha class, but if you feel like moving a little bit more, I will offer maybe some modifications that may challenge you a little bit. So that all depends on your practice. So if you have a little bit more of a challenging practice, then go there. Otherwise, just keep it nice and gentle. And so we'll be working on twists a fair amount today, going through the different shapes and just exploring the twists in those shapes. So to get started, we will come onto our back. So lying down on your mat. So, and then if you need to take a little bit of support, take a little bit of support. So perhaps if it feels better to have a little bit of support underneath the head or even underneath the neck. But you want the shoulders to be down onto the mat. And then the knees could be bent, so the feet could be planted, or you could put a bolster or a blanket underneath the knees just to have a little bit of space. Or if it feels okay to allow the legs to extend, you can extend, but maybe bring the feet a little bit wider, so more to the outside edges of the mat, and just allow the legs to splay open. The arms can rest out to the sides with the palms up, maybe tucking the shoulders under a little bit. Or if it feels nice to rest the hands on the body, either the belly or the heart, or a combination of that, then you can do that. Now just settling in to your mat. So giving yourself some time to arrive on your mat. Perhaps closing your eyes. And just start to do a few breaths where you inhale fully and then exhale out through the lips. A cleansing breath. Inhaling and then just sighing it out. With each exhalation, with each sighing out, you can physically relax a little bit more. So just letting go of whatever is not serving you this morning. So maybe letting go of physical tension, emotional tension. And just see if you can just settle in and be present for yourself. So allowing the mind to quiet. Letting go of your to-do list. Letting go of yesterday. This morning, letting go of tomorrow, this afternoon, and just honoring this time that you've set aside for yourself. And just slowly start to observe your breath. Just notice where your breath starts. Just notice the length, the depth of your breath. Next time you inhale, allow that inhalation to start right from the base of your spine, from your root chakra. And then slowly breathing up the body all the way to the crown of your head. Then as you exhale, from the crown of your head, all the way down to the base of your spine. So imagine that breath traveling up through every chakra. On that inhalation, notice the expansion through the body. And on the exhalation, notice how the body contracts back in. Let's continue to allow the breath to be full. Allow for that exhalation to lengthen. And maybe even having a pause between the inhalation and the exhalation. If there's a pause, observing it, notice it.
And as you continue to breathe, think of an intention you might want to set for your practice. Sankalpa. Something that you could work on during your practice, something that you see yourself as. It could be an I am statement. Something you want to be part of your practice, to be part of your day, to be part of you. And then imagine that intention traveling through your body just as you're breathing. And as you're breathing, perhaps that intention floats around the energy around your physical body. And anytime during the practice, you can always bring your mind, your breath back to that intention. Allowing yourself to have something to focus on when you feel you're getting distracted. Just a couple of more breath cycles here.
And then slowly allow your breath to come back to its natural cycle. We'll start to wiggle through the body, so wiggling the fingers and the toes. And when you're ready, you can bend the knees and plant the feet if they are not. Then you can allow the eyes to open. So I'm going to stay on our backs for a little bit here. So let's just start with a little bit of subtle movements. We're just going to start with a little bit of rocking of the pelvis. So on the inhalation, just allow that tailbone to come up a little bit. The low back presses down into the mat and the belly scoops in a little bit. On the exhalation, pressing the tailbone down into the mat as the belly rises. The low back rises off the mat. And then just continue with that. Allowing the tailbone to tuck. This way the low back settles down into the mat. And then on the exhalation, tailbone presses down, the belly rises up, and you create that space in the low back underneath your on the mat. A couple more times. And then allowing that to come to stillness. From here, let's just hug the knees in towards the chest. So hugging them in, so either holding on to the knees or even behind the thighs, or whatever feels better in your shoulders. And you can just get a little bit of movement. So maybe just rocking back and forth a little bit. Maybe coming to center and just squeeze those knees in a little bit more. If it feels okay, maybe even lifting up the head. Squeezing into a nice little cycle. And then slowly, if the head is lifted, release that back down. Okay, let's bring the feet down onto the mat. From here, let's take that right leg, and we're going to take that right leg and extend it up. Okay, so reach in. You can hold on behind the thigh if that feels okay. If not, you can just extend that leg up. You can keep a soft bend into that knee, and then let's press that heel up towards the ceiling. Okay. The left leg can stay bent where it is for right now as you press that leg up. Make sure the shoulders and the neck are nice and soft and relaxed. Okay. If it would feel okay to extend that left leg, extend that. Okay. Press that leg down onto the mat. So that left leg is pressing down. And then that right leg, we're just going to bring it across a little bit. So just coming across the midline, maybe an inch or two, so not very far. And then slowly bring that back through center. press that up again. And then when you're ready, bend that knee, plant the foot down, hit, bend the other knee, bring the other, so the left leg rises up, pressing up. You can hold on behind the thigh if that helps. And the right leg can stay bent for now, or you can extend that leg out. So if you're extending it out, press that leg out. And then very slowly, bring that leg over in towards the opposite side of the body. So just a couple of inches past the midline. And then slowly bring that back through center. Bend the knees. Place that foot down. So from here, both knees are going to be bent. Let's just hug those knees in one more time. Maybe just a few mortar and pestle. So opening up the knees and bringing them back together. Just creating those nice circles and then changing the direction. Okay, and then allow that to come to stillness. From here, we're going to bring the hips are down, the knees are over top of the hips, and then we're going to just allow those calves to be in line with the floor. So they're parallel. So I'm going to do a little bit of work for the abs here. Okay, the hands can rest down onto the mat, the palms can face down. From here, let's start with, doesn't matter if you start with the right leg or the left leg. So you have that slight engagement through the core, and you're just going to take one foot, tap it down onto the mat, and then bring that back up. And then the opposite, tapping it down, bring it up. So going back and forth. Just allow the feet to tap down. So the torso stays nice and still here, nice and quiet. Tapping those legs down one at a time. So nice and slow. So the slower you go, the more you'll feel it. Couple more times on each side. You need to take a rest, take a rest. And bring that back. Let's bring those legs down. Let's bring those feet nice and wide. Knees are bent. Bring the arms out into it. See, just twist over to the right. So allowing yourself to come into a twist here. The palms can then roll up. The gaze can go in the opposite direction of the knees if it feels okay. Slowly bring the head back to neutral. Turn the palms down. Bring the knees back up through center. Once feet are established down, make sure that the hips are adjusted, the nice and center, and then twist over to the left. So allow the knees to lower to the left. The palms can roll up and the gaze can go over towards the opposite direction of the knees. Bring the head back to neutral. Turn the palms down. Bring the knees back up through center. Okay. And then let's hug those knees in towards the chest one more time. Just hugging that in. So we give you the options. We're going to make our way into seated. So you can either roll to your side, but if it feels nice to rock along your spine, have this rocking action. So you make your way into seated. If that doesn't feel good, then just roll onto your side, press into the hand, and make your way up into seated. Okay. So finding a seat. So feel free to have a little bit of height to sit on. I have my block, my chip foam block to sit on. A blanket or a cushion works perfectly fine. And then allow yourself to sit comfortably. So if that means sitting in Sukhasana, easy pose, or perhaps extending the legs forward, whatever works for you, just finding a nice, easy seat. And then even if you are sitting in Sukhasana and the knees are up very high, take a little bit of support. So often in the studio we use the blocks, but if you had a couple of cushions, that would work just as well. Okay? So letting yourself settle in, and then allow the sitting bones to root down. So really find those sitting bones rooting down. Notice that. And then from there, lift up through the spine. So lifting up nice and tall all the way to the crown of your head. So imagine that somebody's just taking a string to the top of your head and is pulling it up. So you get that length, but you want the neck to be soft and the shoulders to be relaxed. And let's bring the fingertips out to the side. And turn the palms up. Inhale, float the arms up. So the elbows can be nice and soft here. And then maybe the hands meet, maybe they don't. Turning the palms down, out, and then lower that back down. Let's do that a couple of times. So using your own breath for this movement. So depending on how your breath is this morning, that'll indicate how your movement is. Inhale, float them up. Exhale, lower them back down. Okay, from here, let's bring our hands together. So palms are together, and just bring the middle finger, even the pointer finger, right underneath the chin. And then the elbows come out, so sitting up nice and tall. Sitting bones are going to stay where they're. We're going to come into a slight twist here. So think about that space from between the hip bones and the floating ribs. Okay, that's where the twist is. So that is where you want to think about. So the twist isn't going to be very big. We're just going to slowly twist it over to the right. So to me, it doesn't even feel like I'm twisting. Like the belly button is still way over here. It's not coming towards the knee. So it's just a nice small twist. Keep that length through the spine. Let's bring it back through center and then twist over to the left. Back through center, over to the right. Back through center. One more time to the left. Let's bring that back through center. Let's bring the palms down. Allow those right fingertips to stay where they are. Let's take that left arm, reach it up. So getting that length, and then lean over. So creating some space in the intercostals. So even here, maybe you're more down and that feels better, or maybe it feels nice to lift that chest up, maybe even looking up. And then slowly, let's bring that hand back down. Okay, fingertips root down. Inhale, float the opposite arm, reaching up, rooting into the sitting bones, and then lean over. So that elbow can be nice and soft. And then the neck, really, it depends on how this feels for you. Maybe it feels better to look down, or maybe keeping that in line with the body, or maybe looking up. And then slowly, let's bring that back down. Okay, let's bring the arms into cactus or cowboy surrender, or whatever you like to call it. So we're sitting up nice and tall. I find it's hard to do this with not sitting up tall. Okay, and then we're going to bring it into a twist again. So think again, lengthen, inhale, lengthen on the inhale, and then exhale and twist. Maybe it's a little bit more this time, but you should still feel it through that midsection. Keep breathing. And slowly bring that back through center. And let's twist over to the left. Back through center. Repeat both sides. So over to the right. Back through center. And then one more time over to the left. Back through center. Okay. Leave the arms just where they are for a moment. We're just going to do a little bit of work with the arms. So inhale, float those arms up. And then exhale, pull them down. So nice and strong. Inhale, reach it up, extend out through the fingers, and then slowly bring that down. A couple more times. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale, reach it up. And bring that down. Allow the arms to float down. Okay, just circle out those shoulders. Again, these circles can be small or big, whatever feels better for you. And then allow those circles to go in the opposite direction. Okay, all right, let's make our way into tabletop. If you have blocks, keep those at the front of your mat. So if you do want to use them, that they're there for you. Okay, so making your way into tabletop. So take extra padding underneath the knees if you need that, and then allow the hands to come down, really maybe even coming up onto your fingertips, and allow those fingers to spread nice and wide, and then allow the heels of the hands to come down. Tops of the feet can come down, and you can root those down, pulling those toes towards you, so engaging in the inner magnets of the legs. And then make sure you're not hyperextending through the elbow, so get that soft, more gentle bend. It's as if you are opening up two jars with your hands. Let's go through some cat-cow movement here. Inhale, allow the tailbone to come up, the belly to lower, the head and the heart to come forward. So you can start off really nice and slow and gentle. You don't need to go to your 100%, just meeting yourself where you are today. So using your breath for your cat-cow movement. And if you want to do some extra movement through the hips or the shoulders, a little bit of shifting, if that would feel good for you, you can do that. Coming back to your neutral spine. And from your neutral spine, and stay in your tabletop. Let's just bring the hands just a little bit more forward. So just to create a little bit more space. Okay? That left hand can even come a little bit in. So we're going to come in, working a little bit on thread the needle twist here. Okay, so your hand can come down. Okay, and then we're going to lift the other hand up. So lifting up your right hand off the mat, and then we're going to open it up a little bit. So reaching out to the side. So it doesn't have to reach out very far. And then let's just sweep it down, touching the mat. And then inhale, open that up again. So nice and gentle. So just do this a few times. Allow the hand to sweep down underneath you. Inhale, open that up. And then with each sweeping of the hand and opening up, maybe you come a little bit further. So allowing that movement to grow. Keeping the pelvis nice and steady. Just noticing how this feels through the abdomen. And then if you would like to come a little bit further into this, threading the needle all the way, the next time you do, just allow the hand to slide. The shoulder can come down onto the mat. Maybe the head comes. And if it doesn't reach the mat, you could always use a block underneath the head or underneath the shoulder. And then the left arm can stay where it is, or you can reach it forward, or you could place it on your low back. Just noticing what feels better for you. And slowly draw that left hand back underneath your shoulder. Press into it, making your way back to your tabletop. And once you're in your tabletop, have that soft, gentle bend through the elbows. Let's just go through a couple of cat-cows. So inhale. Tailbone comes up, belly lowers, head and heart comes forward. Exhale. Tuck the tailbone, arch the back, looking down. One more time. Inhale. Coming through cow. And then making your way through cat. And coming to a neutral spine. From your neutral spine, bring those hands just an inch or two more forward. This time I'm going to take that right hand and bring it more towards the center. Okay? Left arm opens up to the side. So inhale, reach that up. And maybe just a little bit. And then as you exhale, slide it through, looking the opposite way. So allow your neck to move with this. Floating the arm open, sliding it under. As many times as this feels good for you. So noticing that twist through the belly. Keeping that spine nice and long. With each movement, you can maybe come a little bit further. If you're ready to bring this into thread the needle all the way, then allow that hand to slide. Allow the shoulder to come down. And then resting that arm either where it is or extending it forward or on the low back. Taking a couple of breath cycles here. And slowly draw that hand back underneath your shoulder. Press into it, making your way back to tabletop. Once you're in your tabletop, let's tuck the toes under. And with the toes tucked under, let's go into cow. So inhale, tailbone comes up, belly lower, head and heart come forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, arch to the back, and then just shifting back. So toes are getting a nice little stretch here. Inhale, coming back into your tabletop, into your neutral spine. Untuck the toes, just back the feet up. Okay, let's tuck the toes under again. We're going to make our way into downward dog. If downward dog is not in your practice, then just stay on your tabletop. So have the option to perhaps bring those hands. I know for me, I like to bring my hands just a little bit more forward just to get a little bit more length, but that all depends on your downward dog. We're looking between the hands. The hips are shifted back, the toes are tucked under, rooting into the hands. Lift the knees, and then once you have the knees lifted, then just allow the hips to come up and back. And then pedal out the legs. So bending one knee, bringing the opposite heel down. And then maybe getting a little bit of movement through the neck. Just nodding yes and no. And allow the head to relax. Inhale, come high up on the toes. Exhale, press out through the heels. Let's do that one more time. High up on the toes. Exhale, press the heels towards the mat. They do not need to meet the mat. And then from here, bend the knees generously. Look between the hands and start to walk your feet forward. Coming into your forward fold. Okay, so being your first forward fold of the day, maybe you need to have your blocks underneath the hands. Okay, and then even here, just shifting through the hips. So bending one knee, bringing the opposite heel down. Not the heel down, the heels are down. And just shifting. And inhale, halfway lift. So hands come onto the shins or the thighs. Lengthen through the spine. Making sure that your weight is over top the hips. So make sure it's not, the weights are more even into the feet. So not just into the backs, not just into the heels. Exhale. Bending the knees. Inhale, float those arms up, coming all the way up. Making your way into Tadasana. Okay, so having a nice tall Tadasana, okay? Think about rooting into the feet, so that evenness of perhaps lifting up those toes. Find the weight into the toe mounds and into the heels. The legs are active here. And have a gentleness in through the knees, okay? And then the arms can just come out to the side. Breathing here. Perhaps even closing the eyes. If you have any issues with vertical or balance, or blood pressure, then just keep the eyes open. Just observing. Slowly allow the eyes to open. And soften through the knees. As you soften through the knees, find that hip crease. So the hip crease comes. As soon as you bend the knees, you get that nice little gentleness through the hip crease. Okay? Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands through heart center. Inhale, float the arms up. This time, bend the knees, shift the hips, folding forward. Couple of breath cycles here. Again, being mindful, forward fold is not in your practice. Stay in your halfway lift. Inhale, come into your halfway lift. So if you have issues with vertical blood pressure or anything like that, then really, you don't want to place the head. You want the head to stay not below the heart, but you want to keep it up a little bit higher. Exhale, bend the knees and float the arms all the way up. Bring the hands through heart center. Okay, so rooting into the feet, bending into the knees, and then sitting down. So just finding a small Utkatasana. So you don't have to go that far into it. And then let's bring the arms into cactus. Okay. And then if you want to straighten the legs and don't, if Utkatasana is too much, then just stand up nice and tall. I'm going to bring this into a twist. So twisting over to the right. Back through center. Keep that nice tall spine and then twist over to the left. Back through center. Let's bring the hands to heart center. Press into the feet, rise all the way up. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, shift the hips back, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, and step back into plank, okay? Or half plank. So come onto your knees if that feels better for you. If you want to challenge yourself, then you can stay in full plank. And then slowly shift those hips back, coming into your tabletop. So adjust the hands if you need to. This is where you can also use your blocks underneath your hands. So from here, I'm going to pick up that right leg and just step it forward. So coming into this low lunge. So in our low lunge here, the knee is over top of the ankle. Okay. And then rooting a back thighs hack. You're pressing forward. Okay, so the blocks are nice. It creates a little bit more opening up for the chest, so you're not compressed down. Breathing here. And then I'm just going to just shift, get a little bit of movement through the hips here. So we're just going to shift the hips back. You can walk the hands or the blocks back with you. You're going to bring those front toes up. Slowly, bring that back forward. Exhale, bring it back. So shifting the hips back, toes come up. Slowly coming forward. Do that one more time. Keep shifting. And then coming back forward. Okay. From here, take that block. The left block, just place your hand on the block, and it can even be a little bit wider. It can almost be off your mat. You're going to take that right hand, bring it onto your knee, lengthen up through the chin. The chest is nice and open here. So you can leave your hand where it is here. Maybe the hand comes to the elbow, or maybe you reach that up. And slowly float that hand back down, rooting the hands down into the mat, shift the hips back, bring that right leg back, and coming back into your tabletop. From your tabletop, either stepping back into full plank or half plank. I'm just going to go into my half plank, making sure that the elbows are not Hyperextending, so you get that slight bend through the elbows. You're going to tuck those elbows in, lower right down onto the mat. Tops of the feet are going to root down. Forehead is down. Elbows are pressing back. Inhale, lift the chest forward and up into Cobra. Bhujangasana. Exhale, lower. Let's do that a couple of times. Inhale, lift. Chest comes forward and then up. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Tuck the toes under. Press into the hands. Making your way back to tabletop. Once you find your tabletop, then tuck the toes under. Shift the hips back. Lift the knees. Lift the hips up and back into downward dog. Couple of breath cycles here. Feel free to stay in your tabletop. Bend the knees, look between the hands, and walk your feet forward. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale. And reverse swan dive all the way up. Hands come through heart center. I'm just going to move to the other end of my mat, so I don't turn my back later. Okay, so rooting into the feet. Let's bring the arms forward, so floating those arms forward. And then bending into the knees, shifting the hips down a bit, finding that chair pose, Utkatasana, lengthen the spine. Let's bring the arms into cactus. And then let's slowly twist this over to the right. Twisting over to the right, making sure that the legs stay the way they are. So you want those knees to stay even. Bring that back through center. Twist over to the left. Back through center. And the hands to heart center. Standing up nice and tall. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, shift the hips back, bowing forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. From here, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back into plank or tabletop or half plank. Little breath cycles here. If you're in your tabletop, you may want to go through cat-cow. And then we'll all come into our tabletop. So if you're in your full plank, lower those knees, and adjust those hands. Here in your tabletop. Take the blocks underneath your hands if you need them. Okay. We're just going to pick up that left leg and step it forward. Okay. So finding your low lunge here. Okay. So again, knees over top of the ankle. That back leg, thighs pressing back, and you're sinking into the front. So nice openness through the chest, maybe even lift up through the chest. Okay, and then from here, we're going to slowly just start to shift those hips back. The hands can walk back, or if you have the blocks underneath the hands, take those blocks with you. Bring those front toes up. Inhale. Bring it back forward, thinking forward. Exhale, shift the hips back, bring those toes up. Inhale, bring it forward. Thinking. Let's bring that back one more time. And then slowly bring that forward. Okay, once you're here, have your block underneath your right hand, so you can stay there, or you can even bring that a little bit wider, so the hand roots down into that block. The other hand comes onto the knee, so the left hand is onto the knee. Okay, maybe this is enough for you. Maybe you want to stay here, or you can start to draw that elbow up. Maybe the arm pulls open. Get that twist right from the belly. Keep breathing. And then slowly flip that hand back down. Bring those fingertips down onto the mat or onto the blocks. Shift the hips back, bring that leg down, back. Okay, let's root into the hands. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Okay, from here, either stepping back into full plank or just allow the shoulders to come over top of the wrist, coming into your half plank. Lengthen through the spine. Feel that slight engagement through the low core. Tuck the elbows in, lower right down onto the mat. Okay, tops of the feet are rooting down. Those legs are engaged. The elbows are in towards the rib cage. Draw the elbows back. And then lift the chest forward and up. Coming into this baby cobra. Exhale lower. Let's bring the fingertips right off the mat. So bringing them right off the mat, rooting into the fingertips. So the elbows are pointing up towards the ceiling. The elbows are over top of the wrists. You're still pressing into the tops of the feet. This time, as you lift the chest forward up, also press into the fingertips, so coming into a little bit more of a back bend. Keep breathing here. If this is too much, then lower down and just come into your regular baby cobra. Slowly lower down. Bring those hands back underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under. Press into the hands, making your way into tabletop or going through plank. Okay. And then finding your tabletop. Untuck the toes. Inhale. Elbow comes up, belly lowers, head and heart comes forward into cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, arch to the back, and back towards the knees. So you can do that a couple more times. If you would like to take one last downward dog, then tuck the toes under, shift the hips back, rooting into the hands, lift the knees, lift the hips up and back into your downward dog. Movement through the hips, that might feel nice. Maybe pedaling out the legs, maybe just taking your downward dog just the way it is, maybe finding rest in it. And then bending the knees, looking between the hands, and walk your feet forward. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And reverse swan dive all the way up. Bring the hands through the heart center. Okay. Make our way onto the mat sitting down. Okay, so finding a seat. Hey, let's bring those legs forward. So finding your dandasana. Okay. Extend out through the legs. Legs are active. Maybe the heels might even lift up off the mat. See if you can spread those toes, spreading those toes nice and wide. If it helps to root into the fingertips to lift up. Okay. And from here, you just bend the knees, bring those in. Let's bring the hands back a little bit. So the fingertips are pointing towards the toes. Open up through the chest here. And then just windshield wiper the knees back and forth. And then bring that back through center. And keep rooting into the fingertips. Okay, bring those legs forward again. From here, let's take that right leg, bring that in, okay? So the left leg is still extended, it's still active. The right leg, there's a little bit of space between the foot and the thigh. Okay? And then you can hold onto the knee here. So thinking about getting that, using that knee as a little bit of leverage to lift up through the spine. Okay? Taking that left hand, you're gonna come, hold on to the knee. And then maybe even just leaning back a little bit. Allow the belly to start to turn over towards the right. So twisting, twisting. And then the hand can just rest beside you or behind you. depending on how this feels in the neck. So for me, my neck is not so happy on that side, so then I don't look behind me. I just kind of keep it neck nice and neutral. And then slowly come back through center. Let's just do a little counter twist to the other side. Back through center. Let's extend that leg nice and long. Bring the knees underneath the other leg. Bring that in. So bring that left leg in. Lengthen up. Bring the hand onto the knee. Lean back a little bit. Get that belly to twist through over to the left. And then twist it. Okay? So the hand can stay there, but if it feels better to allow the elbow to come onto the knee. Nice broadness through the collarbones here. That front leg is still active. And then slowly bring that back through center. And I'll counter twist to the other side. Back through center. Okay, let's extend that leg. From here. Okay, so you can just lie down if you'd like to challenge yourself a little bit. You can hold on behind the knees, lengthen up through the spine, and then slowly just roll back down. So really find that engagement through the core. If this is too much for the low back, then just lie down. So nice and slow. Okay, lie on your back. So don't take any support underneath the head yet. We're not ready for Shavasana, unless you really have that chin up and then you need a little bit of support underneath the head. But we want the whole back to be settling down onto the mat here. Feet are planted, they're about inner hip distance. Shoulders are relaxed, so nice openness. Allow the belly to soften. We're going to take that right leg and we're going to lift it up. Okay? And then we're just going to take that right ankle and cross it over. Okay? So coming into this figure four here. So maybe this is enough for you. Okay? Compress that thigh away from you. If you want to take it a little bit further, then you can pick up the opposite leg and interlace your hands behind the thigh. Okay? But if that doesn't feel good in through your neck or your shoulders, if that's too much, then just stay here. And then very slowly, if you have that left leg lifted up, bring it down. Okay, I'm going to stay in this figure four. The hands can come over to just out to the side, okay? And then leaving the legs the way they are, we're going to slowly twist over to the left, okay? So allowing that leg to open up, we're just nice and slow and just twisting it over. And if this twist doesn't feel good, then just come back up. Bring the feet nice and wide and just twist, both knees falling over to one side. Let's make sure the head is back in neutral. Arms are facing down. Slowly bring that back up through center. Okay, once you have legs back up through center, uncross the leg. And then I'm going to take the opposite leg. So this time taking that left leg, crossing it over the right knee. Press that thigh away from you. Option to stay here. So I'm going to stay here. So if you're pressing that thigh away from you, you should feel good about it. If you want to lift up that opposite leg, interlace your hands behind your thighs, feel free to do that. This here allows you to even allow your arms to come, even if you're stop pressing your thigh away with your head, you can bring the arms into cactus so the shoulders can relax. If you have that right leg lifted, lower it back down, just finding this figure 4 this way, and then I'm going to slowly twist this over to the right. So the palms can face down, the legs are still in their figure 4, and then twist it over. I'm running out of space, my wall is too close. And the palms can roll up. And you can turn your head in the opposite way of the legs. And slowly bring the head back to neutral. Turn the palms down. Bring those legs back up through center. Uncross the legs. Just windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Okay. Then allow that to come to stillness. From here, picking up the feet, hugging the knees in towards the chest. So hugging them nice and tight. Maybe the knees open up nice and wide. Okay. And then allowing the low back to come back down onto the mat so the hands can just relax. And then flex the feet and let's press those legs up towards the ceiling. And then allow that softness still to be there in the knees. Maybe pointing and flexing your feet. Okay. Maybe bringing the arms up into this and pointing and flexing the hands also. Circling through the ankles and through the wrists. And then allowing those circles to go in the opposite direction. And maybe that feet and hands can come to stillness. Make sure that the shoulders are completely down. So the arms are fairly wide here. Maybe closing the eyes and just allow yourself just to rest in this shape. Should be very little effort here. Notice your breath. Perhaps going back to your intention that you said at the beginning of the class. And slowly bending the knees, allow the hands to come onto the knees. Bring the big toes to touch. Just circle the knees open and then bring them back together. Bring this to nice circles. And just notice how that feels on the low back and on the sacrum. Notice how, with the hands on the knees, how that feels through the shoulders. Allowing those circles to go in the opposite direction. And continue to keep your eyes closed. That feels good. And then if there's any other movement you would like before we come into Shavasana, honor that. So maybe happy baby would feel good, or perhaps a full long body stretch. You know, we did a fair amount of twisting, so maybe you do want to do another twist. Maybe you've had enough, but just really honoring what your body is asking of you. And then when you're ready to come into your Shavasana, set yourself up. So taking the time to use the supports that your body needs. So if that's another layer or a little support underneath the head, perhaps underneath the knees, blanket over top of you for warmth. And again, if lying on your back does not feel good, feel free to lie on your side or even take Shavasana sitting up, but just be comfortable being, allowing your body to be where it can rest. You want no effort. You want your body to be able to breathe you, allowing the earth, just allowing Mother Earth to hold you, to support you. Allow your breath to be gentle. Surrender all effort. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Feel your breath flowing through your whole body. If you're comfortable where you are and you'd like to continue resting, free to stay there. Otherwise, I invite you to start to get a little bit of movement, just allowing the fingers and the toes to wiggle. Then slowly allowing that movement to expand. Maybe moving up through the wrists and the ankles. Maybe allowing the head to turn from side to side. Perhaps a full, long, yawning body stretch might feel nice. When you're ready, bend the knees, plant the feet, and roll to your side. Just coming into a fetal position, tucking in. Notice your breath on the back body. When you're ready, use that top hand, press into it and make your way up into seated. And just finding a seat with a nice tall spine. Let's bring our hands together and just rub the hands together, creating some warmth. And then closing the eyes if they're not already closed. Just cupping the hands over top of the face. Breathing in that warmth. And then slowly move the hands onto the jaw. Allow the jaw to soften into the warmth of your hands. And slowly allow the hands to slide to your heart center. Allowing the heart center Feel the warmth of your hands. Let's bring our hands together at our heart center. Bowing the head towards the heart, just giving thanks for our practice that we're able to meet this way and share this practice. Thank each and every one of you for joining me. It's been my honor and pleasure to guide you today. Namaste.